For us women, that time of the month can be the worst. The cravings, the bloating, and PMS. Ugh. Like I mentioned, I've been using Hormone Harmony to balance my hormones, and it's really helped with relieving my mood swings and just not feeling so off. Hormone Harmony contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens, which help the body adapt to stressors like hormonal changes that happen naturally throughout a woman's life, which is why Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. It has zero sugar and is gluten-free, dairy-free, non-GMO, and third-party tested. The product is so popular, a bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. For a limited time, you can get 15% off on your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code DATEABLE at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DATEABLE for 15% off today.
Yes, we all know the quality of makeup and skincare products are important, but have you ever thought about how you apply them is even more important for results? Since 2019, Anissa Beauty has been leading the way in creating vegan and cruelty-free makeup and skincare brushes that are safe for your skin and the planet and are designed to optimize the application and absorption of skincare products. Their popular Pinnacle Foundation brush has made such a big difference for me. I used to hate wearing foundation because it always felt so caked on, but with this brush, I can use so little product and it goes on flawlessly due to its patented triangular shape. Anissa Beauty's brushes deliver value and quality like no other. The same goes for their Pinnacle Skin Brush, which has completely changed how I apply skincare. I no longer use my hands to apply my products. Check out the Pinnacle Foundation brush as well as several other amazing brushes at anissabeauty.com and get 30% off site-wide with the code DATEABLE. That's ANISA beauty.com. And don't forget to use the code DATEABLE. Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Krafchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, Dateables. Welcome to Brunch Talk, where we answer your burning dating questions because they are on fire.
They are always on fire. You know, I feel like the one today is a really good one that we actually see over and over again in a different format. We were just talking about how this might be one of our top questions that we get, maybe written slightly different each time.
Yep. And we've both experienced this as well when we were in those early dating days and trying to scratch our heads, like trying to understand someone, right? And the question is, what do you do when the person you're dating stops being consistent?
And for more context, I was talking daily to this guy and he stopped being so consistent. I want to reach out again, but not sure how to proceed. What should I do?
Okay. It feels like there's just like this formula that people follow in early dating. It's like, you know, come in hot with the messages and the back and forths and maybe even like meeting up. And then just when you have the other person hooked, you drop off all communication and you like aren't as responsive and you don't ask them out again. It feels like a formula and it feels like people are doing it intentionally. Now looking back, I don't think it's people doing it intentionally. What you recognize as consistency may not be what the other person thinks as consistency. It might just be their way of dating and that they think that's what they're supposed to do. So I think first, when you recognize someone's consistent, when you see that consistent behavior, is to make them aware of it and appreciate them for it. Because sometimes they have no idea they're doing it right.
Oh, this brings me back. This is, I think, one of the worst feelings, though, when everything is going really well. You're getting that morning text from them every day, or you're hearing from them daily. They're setting up the plans on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And then it just halts. And you're like, did I do something wrong? Did they meet someone else?
Right.
All the questions. I think there's a couple things at play here. One, it's hard to maybe keep up the behavior forever, like prolong this type of behavior. It's not always sustainable. I'm going to say this as a hetero dater. I think a lot of hetero men, they think there's things they have to do in order to get the girl.
Yes.
And one of them being consistent in their messaging. They may never text their friends. Like or do it like once a week. But for dating, they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
know I need a text every day. I need to keep it up. And then once they got you or they feel like things are in a better place, they kind of let things go a little, let down the
Yeah,
guard.
default behavior.
Yeah. And then from the woman's perspective, they're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This person is now not interested. Like there's so many things. And of course, it could be that they've lost interest. I don't want to say that's not an option, but it also doesn't have to mean that either.
Right. I think I've told a few people I've dated that I really appreciate a daily text. And many of them were shocked.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You like that? Is that too much? I guess they just never got that sort of feedback before. And I think it's good to give that feedback up front so it feeds into that behavior. They're more motivated to do that. But I think in dating, there's like this weird thing that happens where we are totally different when we're dating versus when we're in a relationship or feel committed. It's like, oh, okay, I've done the upfront work. Now I'm just going to resume regular scheduled programming.
100%. I remember even like with my partner, he was so proactive at the beginning. And not that he's not now, I don't want to say that, but it's definitely not to the level that it once was at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, I knew I had to do that. And I'm like,
I
you
know.
still have to. But yes, it's like that's the mentality of this is how you date. And we've talked about this before. Dating is very unnatural. And a lot of us are putting our best foot forward. And that's a good thing in many regards. But the reality is the real self does come out. And maybe what they were doing isn't actually the real self. It's the date self.
Exactly. So when you do see that consistency drop off, I think it's important to make them aware of it, not in a blaming kind of way, but to say, I feel like there's just a shift in our communication. Felt like before there was this going on and now this is going on. What are your thoughts on that? Have you also observed the same changes?
I think you could even ask just up front, like a question like, hey, like, haven't heard from you as much lately, like all good, but like, is there something going on in life? Like not assume that it's because of you and dating, but maybe they're just busy at work or there's something taking their time away. And I think not that that's an excuse that they shouldn't be giving you time, but at least you'll understand where they're at a little more. And it's not always about us, even though we think it is.
What you want to stay away from is what I used to do. The cool girl syndrome kicks in and you go, oh, I don't want to come off needy. I don't want them to know that I want to hear from them all the time. So you know what? I'll take my sweet time getting back to them now. I will also drop off my communication and plan my weekends and go on trips. You know, I'm going to be super busy now too. And then it becomes the Cold War because then you're like, nobody's talking to each other. And then your relationship just fades because both people are like, that's it.
That is too real. I think though, on the other side though, this lack of consistency, like, yes, it could be a good sign in the sense that people are getting more comfortable or maybe there's an actual reason. But I don't want to discount that like there also could be the true colors coming out. This isn't a good match either.
Yes.
So let's go into that more. But before we do, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. This is a weird thing about me. When I went to summer camp, we were told to take really quick showers to preserve water. It's something I've carried into adult life. And now I'm like, maybe there is a merit to taking longer showers to unwind and relax, especially now that I've been using Osea's new Undaria Algae Body Wash, which has transformed my shower experience into a tropical paradise. Yue and I always talk about this stuff, like we cannot get enough. It's the citrusy scent that just smells so freaking good. Just thinking about it makes me want to take a shower. What I love about it though is how it leaves my skin feeling soft, smooth, and revitalized. I find it to be a much gentler cleansing experience than traditional body washes, and that's because it's pH balanced with a hydrating formula. So upgrade your shower with clean vegan face and body care from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLEPODCAST at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. Head to OSEAMalibu.com and use the code DATEABLEPODCAST for 10% off.
You know what season we're entering into? Cashmere season. Oh yes, with the cooler months ahead full of pumpkin spice lattes, Wouldn't it be nice to be in a cozy cashmere sweater from Quince while sipping on said pumpkin spice latte? Quince is known for their Mongolian cashmere sweaters from just $50, but also have beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. I personally have the softest pair of biker shorts from Quince that are just as nice and comfortable as the really expensive brands, but like half the price. See, by partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, the savings are passed on to us. So lucky us. Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DATEABLE. As the crisp fall air rolls in and the leaves begin to change, don't rely only on pumpkin to spice up your life. Embrace the natural power of cannabis this fall with Via. Whether you're lounging by the fire or exploring new adventures, Via's premium federally legal cannabis products are your perfect companion. Farmed and crafted with care in the U.S. and trusted by over 500,000 customers, Via has a product for everyone. Via just launched their high THCA flower and brand new flavors for the THCA vape slime, so you have more options than ever to blaze your own trail. You've all heard me talking also about their gummies. My favorite is the High Love Gummy that will awaken your senses and increase blood flow. I absolutely love it for pretty much every occasion. So if you are over 21 years of age, head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off. That's VIIAHEMP.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. This fall, enhance your everyday with Via.
I think on the flip side, again, I don't want to assume ill intent, but I also want to make sure that this person is not trying to like bark up a tree that's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of the day, people do make time for what they want to make time for. Like I remember I've shared this story before I met my partner. I met this guy that was like texting me every day. So consistent. And then it just dropped. And then suddenly had no time to meet anymore and couldn't even find an hour in his schedule. And like, yeah, maybe it was just a bad patch and it had nothing to do with me. I don't know. I'll never really know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I was like, this isn't how I want to feel in a relationship. I want to be with someone that prioritizes me. So it was ammunition for me to end it. And then I met my current partner, who I've never questioned this with ever, has been consistent from day one. So while I'm all for giving people the benefit of the doubt and understanding what's happening, also know that like sometimes people do lay it on thick and it's not always like ill intent. Like maybe they just get ahead of themselves too and realize like, ooh, do I want a full blown relationship? I don't know. Or who even knows? They could be talking to many other people too and things could progress with someone else. Like there's so many reasons that someone could drop off the face of the universe or not be as consistent or start breadcrumbing.
And that's when people spiral. That's when I used to spiral. Is I think about, oh, how many other people have they been seeing? Or was it something I did? Or they're just no longer interested in me without just asking the question. I drove myself crazy. I struggled and put myself in misery for no reason. And looking back, I wish I would have just, one, asked for the consistency, and then two, asked the real hard questions. So remember the guy, the Tahoe guy. He didn't live in Tahoe, but I call him the Tahoe guy because
I know who this is. I will always
we know the Tahoe
this.
guy. We had this like really hot and heavy start of our little like whatever it was dating
fling. Yeah.
Fling. It was a fling in hindsight. To me, it was like the start of something beautiful.
Yeah.
And we had this wonderful week and it was like really consistent communication. We talked about the future together. We talked about possibly moving somewhere together. I mean, it was like we were discussing real shit. And I went on a trip to Europe and I remember thinking like, oh, I don't want to come off needy. So I just said, I really enjoyed our time together. Can't wait to reconnect when I get back. So of course, I wish I said, can we keep talking consistently while I'm on this trip? But I was like, no, I'm going to keep it cool. It's fine. And I come back from my trip and he just completely ghosted me. Soon to find out on Facebook, he had met this girl the day after I went on this trip who is like the love of his life. They seem like so perfect for each other. I wish I had known that. I had all these stories in my head. I was like, was this something I did or said? Like the things that we struggle with. It could have been so much easier if I just asked for that consistency while I was on this trip and then asked the hard question.
Yeah. And I think it's like you can't beat yourself up too, because sometimes that could have just happened anyways. Even if you were
Right.
physically in the same city, like at the end of the day, things work out the way they're supposed to.
Yes.
I firmly believe that. In like my story, yes, who knows what was going on with this person, but like I left and found someone else, and same with you. So it's like, it all works out. I think that's a piece of it. But yeah, like we don't always know the full picture of what's happening. And sometimes there may be meaning behind it that's not what we want to hear, or it just might be that they're not the right fit. And like at the end of the day, we still need to keep ourselves at the forefront of what is it that I want? And is this person able to give it to me?
Yeah.
And can I give to them?
Exactly. So how does that conversation go? How does that conversation go that you are experiencing inconsistency and you want more consistency? What are you asking for? We gave some examples earlier. I think what has worked for me in the past is to focus on the positive behavior that you like.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it
Yeah.
all the time. I really enjoyed that good morning text. Makes me feel prioritized when I see you on a weekly basis. I'm starting to sense a little distance, and I just want to know if there's something going on that I can support you through, or we can figure out another way of operating, right? Like still coming from a very loving side.
Yeah, I think that's a really good approach. And then what they say, but also what they do after is the real sign.
Yes.
And I think the part of this question was like, I want to keep seeing this person. What should I do? I think if you have that conversation, you give them the runway to react, to step it up, to be aware that this is something you want, and they're still not doing it. Don't try to force it at that point.
No.
At that point, it's like this person showing you the reality. I don't even want to say true colors, because it just might be the reality of the situation that they're no longer going to be consistent with you because they met someone else, or other things are getting in their way. Whatever it is, it just is what it is. I don't even want to say it as like a trait, but they're not giving the consistent behavior that they once were.
Yeah.
And for you, consistent behavior is a must.
Yes.
So therefore, you're going to move on and find someone that will give that to you.
And honestly, we need more people to put their foot down when it comes to consistency. Their lack of consistency is probably because of all the previous people they've dated who never spoke up for themselves, and they never knew that consistency was such an important trait in a partner. Well, it is. It fucking is. Let's admit it. If you don't give that feedback and put your foot down, they're going to go out in the world and keep doing the same thing. We got to really establish our boundaries and standards here.
It's also for yourself, because like I feel like I've said this before, but that became the forefront for me. It wasn't like consistency was the only quality I was looking for. Of course, still wanted to enjoy my time and be with someone that was attracted to. But if they couldn't do the bare basics of being consistent, like how can you have a relationship with that person? You can't.
You can't.
So even if I am so attracted to you and we have the best banter, but you're not consistent, it doesn't matter. Like that's the line. That's the line in the sand, the bare basics that you need to cross. And if this person is showing you that they can't do it, I don't think you have to have like ill will to them or even harvest anger. It's just they're giving you info so that you can set you free and you can find that person that will do it.
And you can read all about how Julie came upon consistency as a core value in dating in our upcoming book, How to Be Dateable, coming out in January 2025. We sprinkle the book with some personal anecdotes of how we've learned to date better throughout the years in conjunction with many other stories. I mean, we've talked to thousands of daters and we've compiled these stories into this book that's only 300 pages.
300 pages, but my mom did read the early copy in 2 days. She's a fast reader, but she said it was a very fast read.
I feel like your mom should not set the standard for how fast someone can read this. That is I'm like 300 pages in 2 days. It would probably take me a month and a half.
The point being, it's a quick read.
Yes.
We're not like a history novel. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There are no like stats for you to remember. But there is a quiz. There is a quiz inside. You don't have to study for the quiz, though.
Nope.
You'll pass.
The other big part of the book that this really comes into is like this whole chapter around like where to invest your time and energy and who to invest in. This is something we hear all the time of like, should I give them more chances? Should I stay? Should I go? What should I do? And we give you a very simple framework of there's only 7 things that matter. And guess what? Consistency is one of them.
Yeah. So that book comes out in January of 2025. You can pre-order now. Howtobedateable.com is where you can find your favorite retailer where you want to order this book from. And if you do this now, your future self will thank you. And also, you'll be reminded of how important consistency is in dating in January.
And January feels really far away, but it's actually not at all.
It's not.
We've started freaking out because it's getting really close. And
yeah,
like we've said, pre-orders really, really help us out. It helps get this book more widely distributed so everyone can get it and be more dateable, which actually helps you out.
Yes, you'll have more consistent daters out there.
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with this shit
again. You don't
again.
have to ask this question. Awesome.
Paying it forward comes full circle. Thanks for this question. For all of you with your burning dating questions, you can email them to us, hello@dateablepodcast.com. You can DM them to us on Instagram @dateablepodcast. Or best option is to give us a rating and review in Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, s'il vous plaît. And then in the body of your review, give us a question there. Let us know what's on your mind. And if you've pre-ordered our book, definitely make a note of it so we can bump you up to the top of the list.
Love it. Great. Howtobedateable.com, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.